This is the Shore Sports Network. WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park. Listen online at WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
You know, it's always hard when you follow a newscast these days because, well, the news is so bad and we come with something that seemingly is so trivial. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Night High School Football Show here on the Shore Sports Networks, 1160 and 1310 AM. As always, streaming live at shoresportsnetwork.com. And we are live from Baker's Water Street Grill in downtown Toms River. Kevin Williams along with Ed Sarluca, the third member of our trio, on one of his many walkabouts tonight. Matt Harmon on special assignment. That's what he says it is.
Special assignment.
We never know what his special assignments are, but I guess they're pretty important. So Matt not with us tonight. Will join us tomorrow night in the broadcast booth when our Jersey Mike's Game of the Week has us at Central Regional for the Golden Eagles matchup with St. John Vianney. And speaking of St. John Vianney, the featured guest in the house tonight, joining us a little bit later on, a few minutes in this hour, head coach Derek Siniski and his outstanding senior linebacker Tyler Tedeschi. And we'll talk Vianney football and the trials and tribulations and an interesting few months for that program. And, of course, they are off to a good start and figure to be among the top teams in the Shore all season long. But as I say, good evening to my colleague Ed Sarluca here at the Water Street Grill. Week number 2, full week number 2, included a game we did Friday night that a week later, I'm still surprised over.
Yeah, that would be Brick Memorial and Toms River North. Toms River North caught Brick Memorial in a bad mood for sure after coming off of a 36-6 pouncing by crosstown rival Bricktown on opening day. And the Mustangs, all they did was roll up 52 points. Total offense of over 550 yards, and one individual, Tim Santiago, the quarterback of Brick Memorial, ran for 330-plus yards, set a single-school rushing record. The entire offense set a single game rushing total. I mean, just a tremendous effort out of the Mustangs.
I mean, just gaudy numbers throughout the evening. As you mentioned, 526 yards on the ground. Santiago leading the way. Completed only one pass. That was for a touchdown.
Threw it 3 times.
Only threw it 3 times. Didn't have to. If they're not going to stop you on the ground, you're not going to throw it.
Exactly.
And, just an incredible performance. Toms River North actually, ironically, jumped out early. Stopped Memorial the first 2 drives, and we remarked how Memorial could not get any positive yardage. And on that second drive, the Stangs fumbled. Asante Moore picked it up, ran in for a touchdown. And at that moment, you would have thought, hey, long night for Brick Memorial. And it was all highlights, really, after that as the Mustangs certainly made up for their season opening loss to rival Brick and got themselves right back in the A-South race. You know, football is such an interesting sport because as we talk about, if you want to count the regular season as 8 games, right, 8 games towards the playoffs, you're 2 weeks in, it's 25% of your season.
Exactly.
So, I mean, every game does count. You just can't write off a game in football, unlike a lot of other sports where you can have a couple of bad days, a couple of bad nights. In high school football, you have 2 or 3 bad nights and your season is pretty much down the tubes.
Yeah, or like the NFL that plays 16 regular season games. In high school, you only play 9, and 8 of them count. The first 8 count as far as the playoffs. So, yeah, it's a, tough situation for the teams that are 0-2 right now because they've really got to pick up W's.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you have any aspirations of making noise and you're 0-2, you're a desperate team this weekend because at 0-3, barring some strange things, you're going to be playing a lot of meaningless football in terms of championships for the rest of the season. Ed, among the other things, and that clearly was one of the highlights of last weekend, there were some other ones. Rumson, who had the bye in week 1, played a, as always, good Matawan team in their what would be Rumson's first game of the regular season. Matawan had lost a tough one in week 1, and The Bulldogs win it 17-0. What stands out to me, they held Mattawan to 57 yards of total offense.
Yeah, always good, always tough defensively. The Bulldogs are, and they were chomping at the bit. I don't think they saw another opposing jersey for 2 weeks prior to that game. Because everybody opened up on week 1. Some teams opened up in week 0, and the Bulldogs here were opening up on week 2 for their first action. So always a tough situation. They'll get better and better if you can get better off a 17-0 win.
And the Huskies still without their quarterback, George Pearson,
yes,
which certainly does not help at all. Other games from last weekend, among the ones that stand out, we mentioned Brick Memorial and wins by Rumson. I thought a couple of dramatic late wins. Manalapan just getting past Freehold Township 21-20, and Howell on a field goal at the gun, beating Freehold 25-22. A couple of wild games involving teams in the Freehold Regional High School District.
Yeah, to me, Howell and maybe Red Bank Regional, both off to 2-0 starts, maybe the two surprise teams. Neither of those teams have been off that well of late. I basically have broken down the Shore, the top teams into 3 categories, Kevin. The upper tier, I've got Middletown South, who all they did was score 42 points on Friday night, and that was at halftime, and then they cruised the
against
rest of
Neptune,
the way
yep.
against Neptune. St. John Vianney, who scored 49. Jackson, who scored 47, and RBC 32. I would say those are the upper tier 4 teams of the Shore. Then the next tier, I've put Rumson in there, 1-0. Ocean off to a 2-0 start. They put 48 on the board, and looks like Tyler Thompson is legit now, back from his broken leg. Brick, surprisingly, 2-0 on the season, playing great defense, have only given up 1 touchdown. And Manalapan, again, just got by this week. If Manalapan had a more convincing win because of their past history, maybe they move into that upper tier. Right now, I've got them in the second tier. And then the third tier, I've got Middletown North off to a 2-0 start. I've got Brick Memorial back into our top 10, with an impressive win. Toms River North, I'm not giving up on the Mariners. And those 3 in the bottom tier.
Right.
And then the rest of them.
Correct. And by the way, we'll be talking with Howell coach Luke Sinkhorn a little later in this hour, so we'll save some of the Rebel conversation for them. But you said, as right, off to a 2-0 start, a pretty good one. In that wild, unpredictable Class B South, which we just say each week, who knows what can happen. Central with a convincing win over Barnegat, and I think we can say for the first time in a few years Barnegat has taken a step back. Just lost so many talented players to graduation over the past couple of years, but Central put a pretty good one on them, and certainly the Golden Eagles bouncing back from that loss to Lakewood, a win they needed in that division.
Yeah, they've already played 3 games,
right.
So they have to get wins as they come, and their reward for that tremendous win over Barnegat, well, they get the Lancers from St. John Vianney tomorrow night in our game of the week.
From Joseph J. Boyd Memorial Field, the new complex over there that's all turf.
Tremendous complex.
Beautiful facility. Looking forward to returning to my alma mater there tomorrow. Good win for Manasquan. For sure on Saturday, beating Monmouth 28-14.
Saw that one, Kev.
Jay Price had been a little bit of an elephant off the back. It had been a long time for
8 games.
8 games going back to last September, I believe, or early October. It had been almost a full year. So one Manasquan really needed.
Yeah, 8 games without a victory for a program like Manasquan.
Yeah.
They sure did. And Monmouth gave them all they could handle. I went up to see Richie Mosca's Falcons, and they were in the game. And, a tough interception right before halftime made it 21-14. Manasquan picking off and going about 75 yards for the touchdown. That really switched the whole momentum.
By the way, also on our show tonight, as we said, I guess we call it our version of in studio because this is our Thursday night studio. In studio, we'll talk St. John Vianney football in just a short while, but we'll have a little bit joining us on the phone a little bit later in this hour. As we said, Howell coach Luke Sinkhorn, our football guy Bob Batters, and then in the 8 o'clock hour, Eddie Hahn, the Red Bank Catholic quarterback who returned after missing a bit of a time having knee surgery, minor knee surgery over the summer. We'll talk to Eddie about what it was like to be back on the field. Certainly it didn't look like he had a lot of rust, threw for 300 yards.
And 3 touchdowns.
And we'll talk with him about getting back on the field, what it felt like for him, his college commitment. He's already verbal to UConn and all of that. And, of course, a little bit later on before we go off, we'll talk with Monmouth University head coach Kevin Callahan, the Hawks coming off their first win. And I'm interested to find out about what inconvenience, if any, is being caused for him by the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles will be holding their practice sessions at Monmouth tomorrow and Saturday as they escape Philadelphia with all the hubbub coming over the Pope's visit this weekend.
Yeah, well, definitely one day, Friday, right? They play on Saturday, so. Yeah.
Monmouth does, yeah.
Monmouth,
they'll be out of there Saturday morning. Obviously,
exactly.
they're at Fordham, so that's a quick trip up on Saturday, I would assume. So that kind of a preview of what's coming up tonight. Again, our Jersey Mike's game of the week tomorrow night will be St. John Vianney at Central. And what we'll do now is we'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk Lancer football, one of the more interesting off-season stories, and certainly a lot of people watching and expecting big things out of the guys in black and gold, and we'll talk to them shortly after this. You're listening to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at bakerswaterstreet.com.
This is Marianne Levy, News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, broadcast from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio. From skilled pediatric services to adult care, Preferred does it all. Preferred Home Healthcare with feeling.
The Jersey Shore's news leader. Listen online at WOBMAM.com, on the Radio Pup app for smartphones and tablets, and on air at 1160 and 1310.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
Blustery conditions unfolding as we head through the rest of the work week and into the weekend across all of Jersey. Overnight, we'll see a few passing clouds, breezy northeast winds developing at times, the low dropping down to the upper 50s. Clouds and sun mixed, 10 to 20 mile per hour northeast winds across the region. On Friday, higher winds possible at the shore, a high in the mid-70s. Over the weekend, cloudy, blustery, a few showers at times Saturday night and Sunday, highs in the low to mid-70s. I'm meteorologist Mark Thibodeau from the Weather Channel.
1160 and 1310.
Your home for high school football. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Thursday night at Baker's Water Street Bar and Grill. Boy, it wouldn't be a bad night to be outside. It is a beautiful early fall evening. I think a lot of people will be coming inside in about an hour to watch the Giants and the Washington Redskins. But we, as always, are here talking high school football. And delighted to welcome in Derek Siniski, the head football coach at St. John Vianney, and his fine junior linebacker and co-captain, Tyler Tedeschi, to our show. Appreciate both of you coming down and join us tonight. And, Coach, I'm going to start with you, and let's little chronological history. Let's go back to this summer and the developments that led you to becoming the head coach here. We don't have to go recount all the history, but just how surprised were you when this opportunity arose?
Yeah, this was something that obviously doesn't really happen often. And again, I always told our kids, it was a transition where they weren't used to the whole situation either. And, I'm a lot different here at St. John Vianney because of maybe this whole situation, the way it did happen. And asking Tyler also, I was very, very understanding of their emotions and, just the way everything happened. And I think I told the newspapers at the beginning, I'm here more like a dad, like a father, as to like that football coach.
Well, you've coached in the Shore Conference for a long time, more than 2 decades, 11 years as a head coach at a couple different locations. Where were you when you basically got the phone call?
I was on the beach. Down in LBI, we were on the beach, and I spoke with Mr. Lamberson, and
who's the athletic director?
He's the athletic director, and I was on the beach, and I get off the phone, and my wife goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I just had the strangest phone call right now," and that's how it kind of happened. And I asked Mr. Lamberson to give me some time to think about it, and
what, about an hour, Derek?
Yeah, probably about. We actually had lacrosse that night, so after the lacrosse game, we ended up driving home. It was a family vote. All my kids, I have 4 kids, and the wife, and they all said, "You know what? There may never be an opportunity like this again," and so we ended up taking it.
Now, you did have coaching plans for the fall, right?
We were at Homedale with Greg.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So you would have been at Homedale as an assistant coach.
Yes.
And I'm sure, obviously, there was some disappointment in there, and knowing it's July for him. But again, an opportunity that may not present itself. And I'm Ed. I'm going to throw one to Tyler, and then I'll let you pick it up, because I thought Derek kind of set a tone a little bit. There was obviously, when the whole story broke, more via social media than anything else, that there was going to be a coaching change, that Coach Ciccatelli was not coming back. There was a lot of talk that some of the players were contemplating transferring. Now, in my opinion, probably a lot of that was just emotional talk before they realized that you just can't move, like you might have to sit out. So was there that many players that were contemplating leaving the program?
Not really. As you said, it was mostly emotions coming out. Everybody, we all love Coach Chick. Like, he was a good guy. So when we got the news, it was like, oh wow,
it's stunning, right? Shocking.
Yeah. It's like, why would this happen? So, everybody was saying it, but nobody was truly going to leave.
Yeah. Let me just ask you this: the first meeting with Coach Siniski. Tell me, when that was over, did you feel a lot better?
Yeah, I felt a lot better. I'm pretty sure the team felt a lot better. Getting to meet Coach Siniski, he's a great guy, and he just brings a lot to the program that it made us feel good.
Edward?
Coach, it's got to be a dream job. I mean, you inherit a team that had 10 wins last year, played tough in the playoffs. A dream situation.
Yes and no. Okay.
Pressure to win.
A lot of people. You know what? I have to tell you, it's not even that, but getting to know your players in such a short amount of time, I have to tell you, has probably been the hardest I have ever experienced in all my years of coaching. They needed to get to know me. I needed to get to know them. They were used to somebody else as their coach in different ways. And let me tell you, I came in, I spoke to our coaching staff. We tried to make things as smooth as it could possibly be.
Okay. With that in mind, you've got some good coordinators that you've carried over. Jim Reed on offense, and of Tyler's dad, Mike Tedeschi, on defense. That had to help.
Outstanding. If it wasn't for our coaching staff, and again, I'm not trying to, be cliche about it, but our coaching staff, in that short amount of time, we put together a very, very good staff. And having Coach Tedeschi here, who's very familiar with the program, and Coach Reed, 2 outstanding coaches, it made my job a whole lot easier and more smooth, because with all the time they put in, it would have been a lot on my shoulders this year, and they really helped out with taking that where I could kind of be that head coach and overall, look at the whole program.
Tyler, a junior, and you're a co-captain. That says a lot, because there's a lot of seniors on this football team. Selected by the coach or voted on by the team?
Both.
Both. Okay, very good. Let me ask you about a couple of players. Anthony Brown, your outstanding all-state quarterback, and Khalil Haskins, 2 tremendous all-shore, all-state type football players. Tell me your relationship with them.
They're both really good guys. We all, as a team, we're all very close, and we would never do anything to hurt each other. So I feel that no one on the team has any, hatred toward anyone, and we're all just real close.
All right, Tyler, let me ask you this. Let's get to the bottom line here. It's the most amazing thing. I'm always interested in young men who play for their father as a coach. And your dad's here. Your dad's here tonight. He's the official photographer of the evening. And we were kidding around before about, like, football never gets brought at home. And it sounds like football does get brought at home. So tell us about that relationship, on the field, at practice, and then when you get into the home.
Well, on the field, he's treated as any other coach. There's no reason to treat him differently. It's a level of respect as a coach and as a person that you have to give to anyone. As a coach, you can't just treat him as if he's your father, because then you get looked at as like different. You get alienated from the team.
Right.
So on the field, I never call him dad. He's always coach, and that's how it goes. Even at home, if we're talking football, it's coach.
Do you, do any of the guys tease you at all? You got to get a little bit of ribbing, no?
Yeah, occasionally. Like, the occasional joke comes out, but nothing too bad.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Coach, tell us about Tyler. I mean, why is he in there at one of your stud linebackers?
Well, you know what? He's a coach's son.
Right.
And you know what? That's usually special as it is. And the same with my kids. It works out the same way. They act differently when you're a coach's son, and they're used to, being coached on the field. They're used to being coached off the field. They usually have great leadership skills
and discipline, I would imagine.
And discipline. Right? Like, Tyler's the type of guy, I almost compare him to Anthony Petruzzi, who played for me years ago, head coach at Raritan. He was always my quarterback on the field as a linebacker.
Right.
And that's how Tyler is, getting it obviously from his dad. Tyler is our quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. A little bit more nastier than the quarterback position, though. But he's that's where he really, really helps us and he gets us into our different fronts, checks out of blitzes. So he really huge help on that aspect.
By the way, Tyler was an A-Central All-Division player last year as a sophomore, and through 2 games, the leading tackler for this Lancer team. So that kind of says it all. And I think, Ed, what you talked about, a junior co-captain on a team loaded with upperclassmen kind of backs up what Coach said about him being that leader, that defensive coach on the field.
Okay, Tyler, let's talk about this week now. Pretty big effort going to be needed to stop one of the top running backs in the Shore, in Mike Bickford. Tell us about the lead up this week into that game tomorrow night.
Mike Bickford's, he's a very good running back, but our coaches have come together. They put together a great game plan, and we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Now, you want to share that game plan with us, or no? Okay, all right.
You do know, and we've both seen, Kevin and I have both seen Central in that Week 0 game against Southern Regional. They do have other weapons, right?
Yes, they do.
You got to be careful not to get into that Mike Bickford, number 21, number 21, number 21.
Exactly. They have a very good quarterback. They have good receivers. They have a good line. They're just overall a good football team. And we can't get focused on one part, because if you get focused on something else, they're going to attack you somewhere else.
Coach, did you get a chance to see him live? Or just
I did. I was at the Southern game.
Okay, there you go. Always good to see a team live, right, Coach?
Yeah, you know what? You just kind of get a different feel for it.
Exactly.
I watch the sidelines instead of the game so much. Just watching how they're getting their plays in, how the kids are doing, what they're doing on the side. And, it just helps out a little bit more with almost kind of like an attitude and their personality.
All right.
You handled them pretty well last year. Coach was not there. Obviously, coordinators were 41-12, I believe, at your place. Any chance, Tyler, you're worried about your guys coming in overconfident tomorrow night?
No, not at all. I mean, we come in to every game how we should. We come in with our minds ready and just ready for the game. We're never overconfident. There's no reason to be.
That's Tyler Tedeschi. He's joining us, outstanding junior linebacker from St. John Vianney, along with Lancers head coach Derek Siniski. Of course, St. John Vianney, lofty expectations this year. Coach, I thought it was interesting when Ed asked you about pressure, and despite you taking over late, it didn't lessen the expectation. The bar's been raised pretty high on this program, and my guess is you've probably even raised it a little bit higher.
It's funny. I really don't. Sometimes our kids speak about state championship, and Tyler can back me on this. I don't talk about state championships. It's really, and I talk about one game at a time. You know, I don't put pressure on myself at all. I think our kids have more pressure from the surrounding areas and their friends. That's why it was so important about that Matawan game, where I thought a lot of pressure came off their shoulders after that victory against Matawan. But for me, you know what? We rely on our faith. We rely on on the Lord, and this is the path He put us in. He put me here to lead our team, and that's what we're going with, and that's what we trust in.
Coach, I loved your preseason comment, the last sentence, I believe it was, day by day, step by step. Explain that.
You know, it's just kind of, going with my faith, is it's out of my hands, and we kind of leave it at that, and I really preach to our kids about the same thing, where we're going to just do it day by day, live in the present, don't live in the past, don't live in the future, and let the Lord kind of handle our path and where we're going to go, and that's what we do. I trust in Him.
All right, Derek.
Good philosophy.
You also said something earlier interesting. You alluded to the fact that you're a different kind of person. Now, if I remembered, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm starting to forget things.
You're right.
You were pretty loud. You like to, you were pretty demonstrative,
Absolutely.
And it seems like you, by your own admission, that's like the past. Like you're a different kind of guy.
Am I ever really loud?
No, sir.
No, I'm really not. And you know what? I let my coaches coach. They kind of, years ago, it was the opposite. I would be the guy going around and yelling and kind of microscoping every little thing. And now where I have a good coaching staff, not that I didn't back then either, but I'm just a little bit different. And again, a lot has to do with with my faith and everything. Where I don't get really angry. I don't get loud anymore. I let my coaches coach our kids, and our kids. There have been multiple times that some of our kids have asked for, Coach, you need to be harder on us. Yep. Correct? You need to yell at. I go, I don't need to yell at anything. My job's not here to motivate you to play football. Okay, your job is to do your job, play football. Our job is to kind of get you guys in the right path and get you guys prepared for a game, and that's really how we look about things.
Coach, you got one big transfer. You got a couple nice transfers, the big receiver from Neptune, but you got one from J.P. Stevens, one of the top running backs up there, and I'm going to try to pronounce his name here, Chris Chukwunicki.
Yes.
Pretty good, huh?
Very good.
I got a feeling we might be saying that quite a bit tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's an outstanding player, and Chris is kind of like me. We're both coming into this thing
blind, really.
Yeah, and it's new for both of us. It's new for a few of us. Now, Chris he was coming from Edison by train when we were practicing 7 o'clock in the morning in August. And, I spoke with the kids on that where he would be late here. Hey, Coach, I'll be right there. But he had such a different story, and I said to some of our guys, I said, listen, you're talking about a kid who's getting up 5:30 in the morning, getting on a train by himself, coming to practice, getting on a train to go home. Said a lot. And I'm not even talking about his running the football or playing safety. I'm just talking about the type of commitment and the type of kid he was to discipline himself to get him there at practices.
Great story.
Yeah. It sounds like some of the stories of the basketball players who would go to St. Anthony, the guys who would do that. Tyler, we're going to ask you, the difference with a parochial school is it's not that one team, one town kind of thing. You have guys who come from all over, not just a young man from Edison, as Coach was talking about, but just in Monmouth County alone. Does that make it tough to bond with players off the field because guys are heading in different directions?
You would think it does. But it really doesn't, because we spent so much time together in school and at practice that, it's basically like if we were hanging out outside of school. We just get a closer bond and everything because of lifting, football, being in school. It's just like as if we were in the same town together. And
I guess the positive is all the guys who are there want to be there. It's not like that's the school they have to go to because that's where they live. They want to be part of this.
Exactly. That's how it always has been. If you want to leave, you can leave. There's the door.
Right.
But everybody here wants to be here, and that's what makes us so close. So,
Coach, I was talking to the Pope today, and he said he's thinking about two different games. He's thinking about the Civil War, North and South, or he's thinking about Central St. John Vianney. What do you tell the Pope? What game to go to?
I'd have to think about that one. Really.
Well, he's got to go to you. You're a parochial school. He's got to go to a parochial
Exactly.
school. He can't go to a public school game. Hey, I know you're going to tell me it's one, as by your own admission, one game, one day at a time, and that's great. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that after Central, you have a very big conference division game with a good football team in Rumson.
We play Rumson? Yeah. No, we're aware of that. They are obviously a quality football team. They're well coached. They're well disciplined. Great defense. We're just like you said earlier. We're just looking to not get past the Central game.
I understand.
And look towards the Central game first, and then Saturday morning, then we get after the Rumson thing. But it's going to be with tomorrow night a quality football team, and then the following week, 2 tough weeks in a row.
Great job, both
Yeah,
of you.
yeah.
Tyler, we wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
We usually ask our guests about college plans, for next year, but I know where you'll be next year. You'll be back on the Lancer turf.
Tyler, you play any other sports?
No,
just
I don't.
football.
Yeah, just football.
Do you have college aspirations? Would you like to play at the next level?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I have a couple of colleges, sending me some stuff, but no offers yet. But I would love to play in college.
He's
It's
looking to
my
go
dream.
to
Mm-hmm.
looking at the Ivy League.
Good
So he's a
student.
bad student, huh?
Yeah, he's a very
Oh,
bad
yeah.
student. Yep. So
Academics come first?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Student athlete.
There you go. Well, hey, that's great. Hey, I know for you, Tyler, and your dad, it's a little bit of a haul down here. Coach, you're on your way home,
I
right?
am on my way home.
We caught you halfway.
Yep.
But we really appreciate you on the eve of a game to join us for a few minutes, and it was really nice of you to come down. Look forward to getting our first look at you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
Tyler Tedeschi, Derek Siniski, St. John Vianney, Lancer football. Certainly something we'll watch all season long. We're going to take a break. We'll come back after this. You're listening to the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.
Water Street Bar and Grill in downtown Toms River is the ultimate sports bar. With 32 HD TVs, Water Street brings you all the action of every football game. Located right on the water, Water Street is the perfect place to enjoy the finest views of the shore. Whether you want to grab a few drinks with friends, catch your favorite game, eat a delicious meal, or enjoy live entertainment every Friday and Saturday nights, Water Street is the place for a good time. Located across from Huddy Park on Robbins Parkway in downtown Toms River. Visit them at Baker's.
Our guest is all ready.
For the latest high school football news, visit shoresportsnetwork.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
And we are back from Baker's Water Street Bar and Grill in Toms River. I enjoyed that spot, talking with St. John Vianney football, and clearly a team. I think a team that will probably be mentioning in some capacity about every Thursday night between now and maybe early December.
Well, we'll definitely talk a little bit about him next week, when he, going into that Rumson game if he's 3-0, that's for sure.
Yeah, that'll be one to watch. But again, they're going to take one at a time, and we'll look forward to seeing them tomorrow night. As we said, and I hope he's on the phone with us, the head coach of the Howell Rebels, Luke Sinkhorn. His team off to a good start with wins over Colts Neck and Freehold Borough, and taking on Freehold Township at home tomorrow night. Coach, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, Luke, great to talk to you, and congrats on the fast start as you take on your fellow Freehold Regional High School District schools in a couple of hard-fought wins, 2013 over Colts Neck week 1, 25-22 over Freehold Borough last week. And boy, that was a barn burner last week. That one will test your nerves, I guess, the last few minutes of that one, right?
Yeah, it was a great game. It's interesting to hear a lot of people talking about how it was a good game and they loved it. I prefer the blowout.
The blowouts,
it was a good game. Obviously, being on the end that we were in, we appreciate it, and I hope it was a big kind of momentum for our program going in the right direction.
Luke, this summer I happen to be going to Howell, 3 or 4 nights. My son, who used to coach the basketball team there, was playing in a tournament at Howell High School, and I stuck my head out the back door, and there you were with about 50 or 60 guys practicing and running them through drills. And I said, boy, they're hustling out there. I even nodded to you when you came into your office there. I don't know if you even knew who I was, but you got some good action going in the summertime to get these guys ready to play.
Yeah, I got to say this group of kids has done a great job. We started in December going twice a week, and we've been going since the spring about 3 days a week. And the dedication that this group is bringing has been great, and obviously it's speaking dividends right now on the field.
You open up against crosstown rivals Colts Neck and Freehold, and you come out of it 2-0. You got to be happy about that, obviously.
Absolutely, definitely. We got one out of conference game, or one out of division, and one in division on two very good teams. I'm telling the kids there was a lot of hype surrounding a lot of games, especially the one coming up. But we keep talking about focusing on ourselves and what we can handle and what we can have a factor in. So we're still kind of turning the tide of the program, but last week was huge and kind of starting that tidal wave, and we're hoping to keep this thing going. We definitely have a tough task. Township is kind of clicking on all cylinders, and it's no easy game. We got some well-coached players over there, so we're ready for a pretty good battle.
Now, last year was your first season at Howell. You were 3-7, so you're already within a win of matching last season's total. Tell me the biggest difference from last season to this season. Was it a case of a young team that's matured, or was it also a matter of you getting to put your program in place and now it's starting to pay some dividends?
Yeah, I think I used to be at New Egypt, and I took over a program after the Honorable Tom Farrell. So even being in the program, there was some pushback and stuff like that. So being out of the program and taking over a new program, you always have some pushback and some people that knew how it used to be run and stuff like that. So, but they did a good job. We won 2 out of the last 3 games last year, and I think they're really. Obviously, winning solves everything. You start buying in a little bit more. So it's definitely that second year you put your own stamp on things, and the kids kind of start believing, and they see that one figurehead. Before me, they had a couple different coaches, so it's. I think we're moving in the right direction, but we got a long way still.
Luke, tell us a little bit about some of your leaders on this 2015 team.
Well, we have pretty big senior class, so about 18 guys. We have 5 captains. One led by Mike Riley. He's plays on both sides of the ball. Kind of a scat back, old school throwback guy. Nick Rossi, who had a very good game last week, 2 receptions for touchdowns and a 91-yard kickoff return, is a very good athlete. Noah Powell, O-line, D-line, getting a little interest from some schools. He's a very good defensive end. Mark Jacobino is our
quarterback.
Right. And he right now, obviously, I come from a running background. He's got 5 throwing scores, so. It's a little new for me, but he's doing well, and he's completing a lot of passes. And then we have our 5th captain is actually a junior, Dan Cacciatore, who is kind of our lead, our quarterback in the middle on defense, and he's doing a good job. But we have a big cast of people around it. Makai Gandy's a running back for us, doing a great job. We have a slew of other backs that are doing a good job. I think the biggest part, and it does sound cliche, but they're really buying into the program. And everybody doing their part. Football is a team game, and everybody's got to do their part more than any other sport. So the fact that they're really buying into that is proven to be big for the program.
I know in our football preview issue, Bob Batters, who previewed your team, and he put one of the things, the X factor was your offensive line. You had to replace, you had to bring a lot of new faces in there. How has that gone? Because that's sometimes a tough spot to break in a lot of new guys.
Yeah, we did have some veterans that graduated and are doing some good things in college. But I think the fact that in the off season we put it out to a lot of guys that there's some spots to be won, and a lot of guys worked hard. There's a lot of guys that are still trying to find their place as well. So I think the fact that it was completely open, some guys that were able to win some jobs, and we have some other guys that continue to compete, which is definitely what we're trying to do as a program. Not be entitled, not be complacent, and continue to kind of push each other and compete.
Luke, let's set up the last few minutes of the ball game last Friday night. We were getting updates on the sideline in the game that we were doing at Brick Memorial in Toms River North, but set up the thought process with your field goal.
Well, I mean, it definitely was a crazy moment. So I think it took a little time after we intercepted the ball, it took a little time to kind of actually realize that, hey, we can probably run out the clock a little bit and get a field goal. We do have our kicker who does very well for us, is actually a sophomore, so that was probably the biggest moment of his football career so far. But he did well. He did very well. We usually warm up in practice and kind of see what level of field goal he can hit. And we knew that we were going to block it up front. Just need to make sure that the hold and the snap and everything was on cue. Actually, the snap was a little low, so our quarterback did a good job of corralling that and putting it on there. And he had plenty of legs. I was a little concerned with if he was going to pull it, but he put it through there. And like I said, I think things like that are what build the program up.
And that was Patrick Handy, right, who kicked the game winner?
Yes, Pat Handy. Pat Handy is our kicker and extra point.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, Pat Handy.
And let's face it, and you've been around.
He did a phenomenal job. Yep.
Yeah, and you've been around long enough that know that there's nothing automatic in the kicking game on the high school level. It's not like the NFL. So you hold your breath until you see the referee put his arms up, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the special teams is huge for us, but it was very nerve-wracking, but we put it through. Everybody believed, and it was excellent. Our special teams has been crucial in these first two games. We're hoping to keep that going.
How far was the kick again? Do you remember?
A 28-yard field goal. So,
okay, so it was
28 yards. So
basically
like
almost an extra point, right?
Well, give him a little love, a little.
Well,
longer
2
than
yards,
that.
2 yards longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's probably on about the.
Yeah, a little bit further.
Yeah.
Well, it was also. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen. Any game.
Well, my point was for a sophomore. Was there any time there? Like, was it a fourth down situation? Luke?
Well, we ended up we ran the ball. It was actually funny. We wanted to run to the left to center it up, and we happened to call a play, and the running back wound it back to the right. So we ended up kicking on the right hash, which you probably want to kick in the middle. Yeah. So it made it a little bit more interesting than we would have liked it to be, but he finished it, and the rest is history.
Yes, it would. Yes, it is.
So Howell's 2-0. It's been a little while since they've gotten off to that kind of start. And tomorrow night, you're home against Freehold Township. As you said, this should be a good one. They're 0-2, but have been in both their games. And last week nearly pulled off what would have been a good win, but lost a heartbreaker to Manalapan, I believe, on a missed extra point. Was the difference. So obviously they'll be hungry. But we just wanted to get you on for a couple of minutes to congratulate you on the great start, and hope certainly it keeps going for you all fall long, and I appreciate you giving us a few minutes tonight.
I appreciate you for having me on. It's an honor to be on here, and thanks for all the good luck, and best wishes to you guys as well.
All right, thanks. There goes
Luke.
Luke Sinkhorn, the second-year head football coach at Howell, who's also the assistant girls basketball coach at
Manasquan?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
He's
had a lot of success.
I was going to say he's been part of a few wins in the winter season.
Yes, he has.
These last few years, and a good guy, and we congratulate him. We'll have Bob Batters on in just a minute.
That point I was trying to get to was, as a sophomore kicker, his first big spot.
Absolutely.
Close inside the 5-yard line. Are you thinking about maybe trying to get it in the end zone there?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I because it's a lot of pressure, like he said, for a young kid, a sophomore, but he definitely came through. He became an instant hero. No matter what happens the rest of the year, he's won him a football game.
Unless he misses a field goal to win it tomorrow night, then that'll all be wiped out.
But he still has won him a football game.
Yeah. Our guy Bob Batters is the main football reporter for the Shore Sports Network. He joins us every week, and Bobby's with us for a few minutes tonight. How are you tonight?
Doing well, guys. Another week of Shore College football in the book, so certainly a lot of storylines already.
Yeah, and Bob, as we look at this coming weekend, I wouldn't say there's a ton of phenomenal games on paper, but what catches your interest as you look at the schedule?
Well, certainly the game that you guys will be doing in St. John Vianney. St. John Vianney, obviously, with their tremendous quarterback Anthony Brown, 2-0. Central's played well. They had that loss to Lakewood, but 2-1 are the Golden Eagles. Mike Bickford having a big season already. Mike Mizzandino playing well. So that's definitely going to be a fun one to watch in Ocean County. And also Raritan and Matawan. Matawan 0-2, battling some injuries. Raritan had that big Week 1 win against Manasquan. They had a bye, so a week to prepare for Matawan. And, Matawan, 0-2 last year to win a state title, but 0-3 is a whole other level of trying to dig out of that.
Yeah, and they get a 2-0 Raritan team, with a pretty good running back they got to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Derek Ernst was very good in that Week 1 win against Manasquan. He was a 1,500-yard rusher from last season when he had to unexpectedly take over as the starter. So you're right. Raritan certainly will be a formidable opponent for Matawan, and that's a big game for Raritan. They could win that game, and they'd move to 2-0 and could be a factor in that division.
One of the games that I'm kind of intrigued by tomorrow night is Red Bank 2-0 at Ocean 2-0, and I think that may surprise some people that both those teams come in undefeated after 2 weeks.
I think so, at least from Red Bank's case. I mean, Ocean, I think Ocean knew coming into the season with Tyler Thompson back healthy and Kenny Pickett progressing another year at quarterback that they had a chance to really be a balanced and explosive offense, and they certainly have been so far. 34 points in the Week 1 win over Neptune, 48 last week against Wall. Tyler Thompson has been incredible over the first 2 weeks. So I think Ocean, not terribly surprised. Red Bank had that Week 1 game with Wall, which, looked to certainly be a tough game. I think I picked Wall in that game, but starting quarterback Matt Cluley was hurt for Wall. They had to throw in a sophomore kid who was unexperienced, and Red Bank certainly took advantage. But the Bucs looked really good last week. 30-0 win over Colt Speck, Olim Gotzi, over 100 yards. Sidney Palmer's making plays. Jack Nowitzki's throwing touchdown passes. So, the Bucs have gotten off to a nice start, and that's going to be another separation game in B North there.
Yeah, it should be definitely. Rumson finally off the, finally gets their season going. Looks to be as tough as ever.
Their defense was incredible against Matawan. And again, we've talked about Matawan's injuries, but Jake Burlew, who's their quarterback now, he played well Week 1 against St. John Vianney, and Rumson knew that coming in, but they were flying all over the place with the ball. Matawan had 41 total yards, a handful of first downs. Rumson had 6 sacks. I mean, no matter what Matawan tried to do, they couldn't get anything going. Mike Ruane, outstanding junior linebacker, had a very good game. Max Frank, senior linebacker. Just really, I was talking to Coach Brian Batzer, like, hey, who had a great game for you guys on defense? I was there, but when you guys look at the stats, who'd you come away with? And he honestly said you couldn't single one person out. And that's how well they played as a team. So they do that week in, week out. They're going to be a really tough team to beat.
Bob, another game tomorrow night that is sort of intriguing, a non-conference game, is Manalapan heading to Sayreville. I think just about everyone knows the Sayreville story. The program shut down early last season over the hazing incident. But the Bombers, with a lot of new faces, new coaches, and all of that, have come back, and it looks like they're a pretty good football team again.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Kevin, because looking through the schedule, that's also one that popped off because every time these teams have played, whether traditionally in the postseason last year, year before, a regular season game, it's always been very good, very competitive, and a marquee game. Obviously, because both programs were at or near the top of their respective playoff brackets. But this year it's for different reasons. Sayreville, obviously, as you mentioned, with the hazing scandal from last year, and Manalapan, after struggling last week and having to pull it out of the fire against Frio Township, and like you said, 2-0 for Sayreville, so they've gotten off to a really nice start. And I think that's going to be a tough one for Manalapan. I think we'll find out what Manalapan's made of in that game. Obviously they're going to have Middletown South down the road. That's going to be a huge test, but I think this is going to be a pretty good test also for the Braves.
How about North-South, the Civil War?
I think it's a bad time for River South to be playing this game because, as you mentioned an angry Brick Memorial team before in the show, welcoming Toms River North. Now you get an angry Toms River North team who just had 52 points dropped on them. And now they're going in to play a Toms River South team who runs essentially the same offense. They run an option flexible on offense. So after having seen it, last week, they can fix some of their errors, and they may take their frustrations out on the Indians. But it's the Civil War. You never know. But I think Toms River North is going to be pretty angry to kind of get back in and right the ship there.
Yeah, I think it's the 44th meeting
44.
between the two. They started in 1972. It's that America's Greatest Rivalry Series game that they'll be featured tomorrow night. There'll be a lot of pomp and circumstance. And
interesting, the pregame toss.
Well,
Kev, tell us about it.
The coin toss, the featured participants in the coin toss will be Ron Signorino Sr. and Bob Fiacco, former coaches together and then later head coaching rivals at North and South, and then both of them will be inducted at halftime into the America Rivalry Series Hall of Fame. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on tomorrow night. Just a matter if the teams can maintain their emotion. And Bob, I kind of feel like you do. I think this game is, both teams are always up for this one, but you have got to believe it was not a fun week of practice over at Toms River North.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You know, the parallels are there really with Brick Moore in week one and having that bad loss and coming out and really turning it around in a record-breaking way. And for Toms River North, you have to imagine that's going to be the case. Trying to come back. Again, schematically, they're going against a very similar offense, the same offense, and in general, obviously different parts to it. But they got to imagine they're going to look at the film, correct some things, and be on the X's and O's.
1 minute.
The shoulder. No matter who it was, not to mention it's this game, the Civil War, North versus South, and everything that goes with that. So certainly a motivated Mariners team tomorrow night.
That's our guy, Bob Batters. You can read him every day because he's got something every day on shoresportsnetwork.com. There are no quiet days during football season. Bob, thanks. Bob, thanks as always. Look forward to seeing all your stuff over the weekend. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, there goes Bob Batters, the busy guy, as always. And when we come back on the other side of the 8 o'clock hour, Ed, we'll get a chance to chat with Red Bank Catholic's Eddie Hahn, Monmouth University head coach Kevin Callahan, all coming up on the second hour of the Thursday Night High School Football Show on the Shore Sports Network.